my name is Monica. I am a second-year student in microbiology and immunology at McGill University, and in this video, I will be sharing all of my tips and tricks on how to register for courses and plan out your university degree. I have gotten a few questions from younger students here at McGill asking me about course registration day, and I also remember feeling a little bit lost and confused about the entire process. So I thought it would be nice to make this video and hopefully help a lot of students who are in the same boat. So without further ado, let's get right on to the video. So this video will be separated into two main parts. The first part is going to be degree planning, and then second part is going to be about course registration. So feel free to skip ahead or back to a particular point in this video that pertains more to you. In terms of degree planning, I think it's really important to start off by defining a couple of terms. Some people tend to get confused by this, but McGill has a pretty unique naming system. So what they do is they call first year university U0 or foundation year. So basically, foundation year is for anyone that first off did not attend Cégep in Quebec, or secondly, did not have more than 24 advanced credits from high school. If you happen to have 24 or more transferable high school credits, either by taking IB or AP, just to name a few, you are able to completely skip U0 or foundation year and move on to U1, which is technically your first year of university. So depending on where exactly you enter McGill, I would say almost half of my cohort in science start off in U1, and then I would say another significant portion of us start off in U0. So in my case, I am from a high school in Alberta, and I did not take full IB. I took partial IB, so I took only biology, HL, and French in IB. So I didn't enter with enough university credits to skip U0 and start off in U1. So what I did is I started off in U0, and my degree would be a 4-year degree to get the bachelor's. Whereas someone coming from Cégep, for example, would start off in U1, and they would have 3 years to do their degree instead of 4. Editing Monica here, I just wanted to mention that even though I did not have enough high school advanced credits to fully skip U0, McGill did still give me 6 total credits for completing IB Biology HL and receiving a score of 6 or 7 on the final IB exam. So McGill actually doesn't give you a choice in whether or not you want to accept these credits from high school IB. They just automatically give you these credits and also restrict you from taking the freshman level equivalent for whatever advanced credit you received. So in my case, since I took IB Biology HL, I was exempted from freshman U0 level biology, which were biology 111 in the fall semester and biology 112 in the winter semester. So even if I chose to retake any of these two courses in my U0 freshman year, maybe just to give myself a refresher on the material, these courses would not add to my credits in university and also would not affect my GPA in any way whatsoever. So whether or not I got an A in the course did not matter. It did not boost my GPA or it did not harm my GPA. So in my fall semester, I actually thought it would be a good idea to retake retake Biology 111 just to give myself a refresher to prepare for second year biology. But what I found is that biology actually had a lab component, and there was quite a bit of content to memorize for the exams. And so in the fall semester, I did take Biology 111, but in the winter semester, I chose not to take Biology 112 and took an easier bird course instead to give myself more time to dedicate towards extracurriculars and also more time to study for other hard courses that I had that semester. So that was my experience with it. Next up is choosing a major and or a minor. So, when you enter a university, you are usually admitted into a specific degree. So, for example, this could be a bachelor's of science degree or a bachelor's of arts degree. And within that degree, you have a variety of programs or majors that you can choose from. And basically, you would have to declare your major at the beginning of U1, or actually the summer before you start U1. And this helps you basically structure out your courses and helps you plan out your degree. So a major is gonna be your primary area of study throughout your entire degree. It's your specialization, and you will be taking a significant portion of your courses in relation to this major. One thing to note is that in order to graduate from McGill, if you start off in U0, you need 120 credits to graduate. But if you look up the credits you need for a certain major, it's going to be usually somewhere around 65 to 70 credits. So if you do the math, you are going to have about 50 credits that you are going to have to take throughout your bachelor's degree that are not part of your major program. So what students can do is either A, they choose to take random courses as electives in things that they are interested in or want to kind of learn broadly throughout their degree, or B, they can choose to take a minor, which kind of gives you a more structured layout of the electives that you'll take. So a minor is significantly less courses and less credits than a major, and there are certain requirements, but it helps you take electives that are more in the same topic of study rather than just scattered in a bunch of different topics. So you're diving deeper into a secondary concentration or a secondary topic of interest. And it's important to note that a minor is optional, and there are certain requirements for a minor depending on the faculty and the program, so it's important to do your own research into this. Another question that students sometimes have is about an honors program. So if you would like to do an honors degree, you need to apply after your first year usually, so after U1. And if you meet a certain GPA cutoff, usually you are accepted into this honors program. And in your final year, you would be doing an extensive research project in a professor's lab, usually for the entire year. And under the supervision of a master's or PhD student, you would be conducting experiments, writing down results, and finally coming up with a report and also a presentation to show the work that you've done over that year. So an honors degree has more credits required for it than the typical major program. So Also, you are taking a few more courses that help you learn about the area that you're studying in a little bit more detail. And throughout your honors degree, you have to maintain a specific GPA to continue in this program. So that's also an important thing to note. An honors degree is typically popular and recommended for students who are interested in the research field. So especially if you are interested in doing a master's program or a PhD program after completing your bachelor's degree, doing an honors undergraduate degree can really help you gain experience in the lab, which looks good on your applications to grad school. After you have decided on a major and or a minor program, it's really beneficial to start planning out your degree as early as possible. For me, for instance, while I was deciding on my major that I was going to declare in the summer before U1, I started planning out the kind of required courses that I would have per semester and what elective space I had. So I am going to be showing you kind of the degree planner that I used and am still using for my degree. It's pretty basic and it's definitely could be improved. So please take this as a starting point for yourself, edit it, and make changes and improvements as you need. As I mentioned, this is an extremely simple spreadsheet, so I totally understand if you want to make improvements, but at the top I just wrote that I need 66 credits for the MIM major degree program. And U1, I've listed out all of the courses that I'm taking in my fall and winter semesters, which totals 32 credits. I'm taking Biology 200, Chem 212, MIM 211, MIM 212, and Psych 204 in the fall semester. And in the winter semester, I'm taking Chem 222, MIM 214, Biology 201, Classics 203, and Bioc 396. So I've listed all of their course codes in the left column, wrote down which semester I'm taking it, and then also in the next column, just how many credits it is, and then finally just the course titles. That is what I am moving my cursor over right now. And then on the far right, I just have the VSB links where I visualized all of these courses in a timetable just to see how spaced out my courses are, and etc. I recommend having classes back to back so that you can try and get them done as early as possible in the day. But yeah, that's just a personal preference. And then for U2 and U3, I've done a very similar format for my courses. And you'll see that the courses at the top are required courses. I've written out some of the things that I've heard from upper years, whether it's hard or easy. And then for electives, I can take 1 in the fall and 3 for the winter. So I've written out some of the options that I'm thinking of taking for next year. You'll see at the very bottom that there are complementary courses. And so for a lot of the majors at McGill, they give you a big list of a lot of courses and they just tell you to pick a certain number of them from the list. And so I am thinking of taking Biotech 505, Comp 204, and XMed 504. Those are the ones highlighted in yellow. In terms of complementary courses, you are free to take the complementary course at any point throughout your degree, but as you may have noticed from my degree planner, you tend to have more space for electives as you progress throughout your degree. So in my final year of the MIM major, I have room for a lot of electives, so I think I have room for 3 electives in both the fall and winter semesters of my last year. And so it might be a smart idea for me to try and take those complementary courses in my final year when I have lots of room and space for choosing my own schedule and my own courses, rather than squeezing them in, for example, in third year where I have a lot of required courses and a busy schedule. Starting off with the basics. When should you register for courses? So this is more McGill-specific, but course registration for both fall and winter semesters of the upcoming year happens sometime in late May. But the exact date and time differs from person to person, so it's really important to check Minerva. Go to student menu, click registration menu, and then finally click check your registration eligibility and verify your curriculum, so that you are actually taken to a page that shows you your exact date and time for course registration. Also, remember to convert this time to whatever time zone you are in, because Minerva will always show you a time that is in Eastern time, which is where Montreal is. So make sure you do that. And also on the day and time of your registration start, make sure that you are in front of your computer, all ready to go, and have all of the courses that you are trying to register for ready, either written on paper, on a Google Doc, or just maybe on your computer, so that you aren't frantically scrambling to do last minute course searches while you should be registering. Next up is, how many credits should I take per semester? So at McGill, the minimum number of credits you have to take per semester to be considered a full-time student is 12 credits. But from my experience and from what I see around me, at least in science, the vast majority of students take about 15 credits per semester. So I also know that if you are a pre-med and you're thinking of applying to certain medical schools, some of them will require that you take a full course load per semester, which is a minimum of 15 credits. So if you are able to, I would suggest and recommend taking 15 credits per semester. How should you decide which courses to take? So in U0 Science, which is the foundation year at McGill, basically you have no choice in the courses that you want to take unless you have advanced credits from high school. So you will usually have to take all of the freshman required courses that McGill lays out for you. But as you progress throughout your degree in second, third, and fourth year, you'll have more and more room to take electives as you go along. So these are basically free spots, I guess, in your semester where you can fill them with the courses that you'd like to take that are outside of your major. Next up is, where do you register for courses? So registering for courses is also done on Minerva. So you would go to student menu, click registration menu, and then click quick add or drop course sections. And that will directly take you to the spot where you can add the CRNs, basically the code corresponding to each of the courses that you want to take. And then you just enter each code into the boxes that are on that page, and then you click submit, and then that will register you in the courses that you want to be in. What I recommend doing is having 2 lists ready with you on course registration day. The first one is your first priority list with all of the required courses that you have to take for your major and also the electives that you would love to take that year. And then your second list would be backup courses that you would take just in case some courses on your first list are filled up before you get a chance to register. So always be prepared for the worst and have a second list of courses to take as backup. I'm sure a lot of people have this worry, especially if they are registering for courses for their first year of university. But what should you do if you don't get into a class that you really wanted to take? This is very much a possibility, but so like I mentioned before, you should really have a backup course for every single course that you're taking. Apart from the required courses, those usually you're able to get into. But I just want to add that you shouldn't be too nervous about not getting into the classes that you want, and to not be really sad if you don't get into a class that you want on course registration day, because in every single university there is a week or a 2-week period called add drop, where you are actually able to add or drop any course without it affecting your GPA, your credit standing, anything like that. So it's just kind of a grace period where people can try out certain electives that they're not completely knowledgeable about, and just see if they like certain professors or certain material, and if they don't, they are free to drop that course and another student can enroll. So lots of people are course shopping in this add drop period, and so usually there will be a lot of people switching in and out of classes. So at least for me, if I haven't gotten into a class, I use Seat Alert, which is basically where you pay a small $1 or $2 fee to get like a notification when a spot that you're looking for opens up in a course. So I would recommend using Seat Alert if you really want to get into a course, but it is currently full, because that will usually work almost every time in helping you get in. One important thing about course registration that a lot of students kind of glaze over is the importance of looking up the course syllabus for courses that you are taking as an elective. So for required courses, I mean, this is beneficial too, but honestly, like, you don't have a choice in taking that class. So even if it's not what you're looking for, you don't have a choice. But especially for electives, it's so important to check course syllabi for course grading schemes, the course material, and just overall how the entire course is structured before you actually commit. So I'll usually go on Google, search up the course name and the course code, and just see what pops up in terms of course syllabi. It can be a little bit difficult to find syllabi for certain courses, but if you use things like StuDocu or I don't know, a couple of other internet web pages, then you should be able to find the course syllabus that you're looking for. The second thing you should also check for the courses that you're taking in a semester are Rate My Prof reviews for your professor. So I would say don't trust this 100%, but usually if a prof has really bad reviews on Rate My Prof, that usually means that either they teach in somewhat of a confusing way, or their course was just really difficult. So I suggest doing this just to prepare for certain profs that you are having for that semester. And I feel like if you know what to expect when going in, it feels a little bit better than just to be blindsided on the first day of class when you enter their class and maybe their lecture isn't as interesting as you seemed or just way too hard. So I definitely recommend Rate My Prof and also looking up the course syllabus. I'm sure you have probably already seen this before, but just for those who haven't, there is something called Visual Schedule Builder for McGill, and basically it's a website where you can visualize all of the courses that you're planning to take in one semester and just kind of see if any of those overlap or exactly what times they're laid out every week. And so definitely use Visual Schedule Builder while you're trying to build your schedule for the semester. Those are all of the tips and tricks I have for you in terms of course registration and degree planning in university. If you found this video helpful to you, please let me know by liking this video or by leaving a comment down below. And if you have any ideas for future videos, I'd love to hear from you. So also, I would appreciate if you left any comments regarding like your struggles or your questions about starting university. But yeah, I'll see you soon in my next video. Bye.